Hi everyone, it's me, Caroline. Thanks so much for being here. Let's talk about what this is. It's currently Tuesday, January 24th, which puts us at about a week left until the month of January ends. And I am currently in the middle of reading 3 different books, and I thought that that amount of time and the amount of books that I'm in the middle of provided a really good opportunity for me to film kind of like a week-long reading routine. So like where and how I fit my reading in throughout just a typical week. I have a full-time job and I read like probably not a lot by Booktube standards, but I read a lot for like the average person. Don't quote me on that. So I thought it would be honestly like a good check-in for me just to see how do I and where do I and when do I fit reading in throughout a typical week. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm about to go grocery shopping, which lends itself perfectly to listen to a little bit of an audiobook. Okay, I've changed into more grocery shopping appropriate attire. So let's get these tote bags toted. Let's get these headphones secured. Let's get the audiobook playing. Let's head out the door. So all in all, that entire process of walking to the grocery store, grocery shopping, waiting in line, walking back from the grocery store, putting my groceries away took just under an hour. And I made sure to screenshot. As I was leaving my apartment, I was at 67% in my audiobook, about just smack dab in the middle of chapter 21 of Ninth House. And now I'm ending at 75% of the way through the audiobook, just beginning chapter 24. Grocery shopping and audiobooking is pretty much like a part of my weekly routine. Whenever I'm in the grocery store, I'm listening to an audiobook. I personally am someone that I cannot just sit and listen to an audiobook. I need some kind of menial task that I'm doing. Otherwise, my mind will wander. And grocery shopping is the perfect kind of menial task that is low like stakes enough that my mind can purely concentrate on what's happening in the audiobook and actually process what's going on, but is still active enough that it's not going to, my mind isn't gonna be tempted to wander off. Woo, jump scare with these shadows. I actually just put dinner in the oven, and while I was doing that, I was able to get like another chapter or so listened to. And now while dinner cooks, I'm going to switch to the ebook version. I'm just gonna be laying here, so that's not gonna be conducive to audiobook listening, so I'm switching to the ebook. I am, however, going to put on my headphones to listen to like a dark academia playlist to match the vibes. Dinner is done cooking. I'm about to sit down and eat it. I was able to get another chapter into Ninth House while dinner was cooking. And this, right around this time of night, is usually where my reading stops. I'm not really a read like in bed as I fall asleep kind of girl, and that's all I'm gonna do after I eat dinner. If we wanna do a very technical amount read, keep in mind I worked a full day, taught a full schedule today at school, and all of this reading took place after my full-time job. So I started at 67% and I'm ending at 81%, which is chapter 26. I'm hoping that I can keep this energy up throughout the rest of this week, because I'll definitely be able to finish this by the end of this week if this is the amount that I'm reading each night. Next day. Not this like accidental brand placement. Happy January 25th. Now, I am at work right now. If you don't know, I am a middle school English teacher at an international school in the Philippines, and I realized that I need to vlog this part. The fact that I am an English teacher does lend itself well to me being able to read a little bit at my job. Basically every single class we start out with 10 minutes of independent reading, and usually while kids read for those 10 minutes, I am reading from my independent reading book too, unless I have to like pull kids to conference or something like that. Recently, I introduced the concept of reading sprints, where kids are tracking the amount they read, amount of pages read, in the 10 minutes that we have at the beginning of class. And they just use it to like track patterns in their reading, and I am doing the same thing. So I can actually tell you that in this past class, I'm reading a Rover story by Jasmine Warga. Typically, I'll always have like a book at school that's my independent reading book, and I'll only use it for school when kids are reading, and typically that's when I read middle grade or young adult. It just compartmentalizes well in my mind like that, because I am keeping track of my reading sprints too. I can tell you that in this past 10 minutes with this past class, I read from page 217 to 226, so 9 pages in total. I typically, I can tell you, read about 9 to 10 pages each time that I read. I'm definitely planning on finishing this by the end of this week, just by reading during the reading sprints in my classes alone. Okay, school's done. I'm ready to go home. I was able to read like 10-ish, maybe actually a little bit more pages in that last class that I taught. I only taught 2 classes today, and I actually think that I'm gonna bring this home with me, because tomorrow I have like a planning day with my teaching partner. So we're gonna be on campus, but I'm not gonna be in class teaching my kids. I have so little pages left, and I'm just loving it so much that I'm gonna bring it home with me and try to finish it tonight or tomorrow night. I also don't know if I mentioned this, but I do have like a 25 minute walking commute to and from school, and I do use some of that time to listen to audiobooks, not really on my way to school, usually because my mind is just in like a million different places, and I know that I won't retain what I listen to when I'm walking to school. But when I'm walking back from school, usually I can get a good like 20-25 minutes of audiobook listening in when I'm walking home, or wherever I'm walking after school. In this case, I'm walking home. So I'm going to try to figure out where I left off in Ninth House and listen to it on my way home. Okay, hello, I'm home now. That walk home from school, I was able to listen a bit further in the Ninth House audiobook. I think I got from like 81% to like 84 or 85%, which I know doesn't seem like a ton, but if you think about it, I do that walk every single day, Monday through Friday. And depending on like the speed at which I'm listening to an audiobook and how long the audiobook is, I can knock out like a significant chunk of reading just by walking home, which is something that I'm doing anyways. And I'm gonna see how far I can get in this. I think I have like 50 pages left. So we'll see if I'm able to finish it. Okay, if it looks like I've been crying, I 1000% have been. I loved this so much. I know that this vlog isn't about like reviewing the books necessarily, but I just have to tell you how great of a story this was. Jasmine Warga, I have read all of her middle grade. She has 2 other middle grades out. I've read them both. I loved them. I don't know why I thought I wouldn't love this one. Her other 2 are written from the perspective of just like middle grade aged girls that are going through some pretty tough things. This one is written about a fictional Mars rover named Resilience that is based off, like somewhat based off of the actual like NASA Mars rover called perseverance, I think. It just follows like the rover's whole life, I guess, like from its consciousness to it getting like tests done in the lab to actually going to Mars and then coming back from Mars. And I just loved how much a book that was written from the perspective of a robot, what it had to say about being like human and like the human experience. This was so good. Anyways, exciting news that this is 5 stars. Also exciting news that I was able to finish the first book of this like weekly reading routine. Hello everyone. Thursday has come and gone. Actually, that's not entirely true. Thursday has come and it has almost not entirely gone. It's 5:19 on Thursday the 26th is what I'm trying to say. I have gotten, I'm not even quite sure why I'm updating you because I've gotten no reading at all done today. I managed to listen to like 1% of Ninth House while I was walking home from school, but then I ran into friends, so I wanted to talk to them instead of being antisocial and listening to my audiobook. Although I wouldn't put it past me. That's definitely something that I've done before. And I actually am not quite too sure. I'm putting my dishes away. I'm not quite sure how much of Ninth House I'm actually going to get read today because I am going over to a friend's house for like a little girls' night in less than an hour. So I just got off the phone with my friend and here's my plan. I have some dishes to do and then I also want to pick up a bottle of wine to bring over to girls' night. I can listen to the audiobook while all of that is happening. Dishes are another great audiobook activity. I really wish that I could tell you that I'm gonna finish Ninth House today. 1, just because I want to be done with it, and 2, I have like 14% left, but that equals out to like 2 hours almost left of the audiobook because it is quite long. So I don't know if me listening at 1.5 speed, that's actually going to get accomplished, but a girl can dream. Okay, woo! Let's let that white balance do its thing. Okay, apologies for the lighting. Are you guys seeing those lines too? Whatever. I'm home. It's several hours later. I actually got up to, let's check, 93% in the Ninth House audiobook. And this is where I wish so badly that I was someone who could read before bed. I will fall asleep so fast. My like brain goes down with the sun. So it just like, even though there's only 7% left, I'm not gonna finish tonight. This today, Thursday, January 26th, did not get a whole lot of reading done. I think that I listened to a total of like maybe 10, no, I don't remember, less than 10% in the audiobook. However, now I am completely certain that I will finish this book tomorrow. If it kills me, I will do it. My camera's about to die. It is Friday, January 27th at 4:07 p.m. I just got done with a full day of teaching. I have less than 10% left of the Ninth House audiobook. I am gonna see if I can finish it while I walk home. I am officially done reading Ninth House. I didn't finish it on my walk home. I had to like pace back and forth across my apartment for a couple of minutes, but I finished it. I've returned the audiobook and the ebook, which that's a tip that I have. I don't know if I've mentioned this already. If you can get books in multiple formats, I find that that's helpful and it increases my reading rate just because I have certain times where certain formats work for me. So that's the second book done this week so far. There's still days left in this week in which I'm hoping to finish another book. I know that I said that this like wasn't going to be a vlog where I give reviews, but I just have to tell you all that with Ninth House, I had to like fight for my life with this one. Say that I do understand the hype, like the atmosphere, the whole concept of following different secret societies at Yale that are like entrenched in the occult. I get it. I just don't think that that hype applies to me, and I know why. I get this proven to me time and time again when I read books that follow a murder mystery plotline. I am just not interested in that kind of plot line. There were individual scenes that I really enjoyed. I liked when we got to see the characters go and like interact with the different secret societies and kind of learned like what made them unique and what their kind of magic was dedicated to and derived from. And originally I picked up Ninth House because the second one is out now, so I thought, oh great, I can read this first one and then pick up the second one, but I just don't think I'm gonna pick the second one up because I think my overall rating of Ninth House is gonna be like 3 stars, so it seems kind of silly to pick up a sequel to a book that I only gave 3 stars. Anyways, I'm not mad that I read it. I know that this book is extremely popular, and like I said, I understand the hype. The hype just doesn't apply to this person. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday, January 28th. It is time to move on to the final book that I am in the middle of and trying to finish by the end of the month. And when I say in the middle of, I am being generous because I am this far in, 32 pages in to Malice by Heather Walter. I actually started this one like a week ago, but then my hold for my Ninth House audiobook, the Ninth House audiobook came in and I wanted to prioritize that, but now that's done and over with, and I'm actually really looking forward to getting back into this one. I know that I only have like a few days until the end of the month, and I'm not gonna like press or push myself, but from what I read of this, I know it was only 32 pages, but I really was pleasantly surprised with how much I was enjoying it, and I have like 0 plans this weekend besides some plans later tonight. That lends itself well for me being able to possibly finish this before January ends. I do have the audiobook to accompany this physical copy. I want to make myself like a nice breakfast because it's a nice slow Saturday morning, and I'm gonna go get myself a coffee so I can drink a nice coffee while I make myself a breakfast. And all the while, I think I'm gonna use the audiobook to get some pages read in this. Good morning! I haven't seen you since yesterday morning. It's now Sunday, the 29th, and I read 200 pages of Malice yesterday. Pretty much all day long, I was either at home on my couch reading the physical copy, or I was out and about and I was listening to the audiobook, which just really reinforces what I said, that if you can get the book in multiple formats, it really helps because then it just like opens up the times and the places that you can be reading. So it really helps with audiobooks when they're well done, which I personally think that the audiobook for this one is really well done. I think the narrator has done a fantastic job. Anyways, I woke up this morning and I immediately grabbed this. I don't always read in bed. Sometimes I just like want to get up and get my day going, but I like went to sleep thinking about this book last night, and so I woke up and I was like, let's get some reading done in bed, and I read like a chapter or two, and now I'm at part 2 of this book, which I feel very impressed with. I feel like I'm not like, and I know that this is such a subjective term, but I feel like I'm not a particularly fast reader, so the fact that I was able to get halfway through a book yesterday pretty much it's just, I feel really good about it. I never go into my days really thinking like, okay, I want to read this much today, or I want to get this many pages read today, and that's not what I'm gonna do now, but I'm probably just gonna continue on today the way that I did yesterday, where I'm either gonna be at home physically reading this, or I'll be out, in which case I'll be listening to the audiobook. Hello everyone, same day, same spot. It's just several hours later. I am almost ready to go to bed. I am melatonined up at this point, so please do not hold me responsible for any lack of coherence with this update. I believe that when I checked in with you this morning, I had just made it to part 2, which, let's check what page that started on. Where is it? So part 2 started right around page like 250, and I am stopping my reading for tonight at chapter 37, which starts on page 2 No, $3.95. There's that lack of coherence I promised. I read right around like 150 pages today, which just feels incredible. I did a lot of physical reading today. It feels weird to say physically read because like I am a physical person. I meant read the physical copy of the book. I did that. I did that in bed here. Why am I telling you this? I read the book physically while laying in bed and then also laying out on my couch. And then I also did a decent amount of audiobooking today. I had to go to the grocery store, so I had another audiobook grocery shop sesh. So just ran a few errands and was able to listen to my audiobook while I was walking and doing those, which leaves about 50-ish pages left, which bodes very well for me because I said that this was the last book that I wanted to have finished by the end of January, and I still have 2 more days. Even though those are working days, I can definitely read 50 pages over the course of those 2 days, especially because I'm really, really enjoying this. Hi, okay, it's January 30th, which technically means I have like 2 more, well no, it's the second to last day. I have 1 more day to like before January ends. That's what I'm trying to say. But I'm gonna finish this book right now. I listened to the audiobook while I was walking home. That's all the reading that I got done today. And I'm just gonna sit here and physically read it because something just happened and I like need to know how it ends. Okay. I cannot tell you how sick I am of picking up books and reading them and not realizing that they're the first in a series, which I just finished this. And I did not realize, even though it says right on the cover, book 1, this is the first in a duology, which I will be picking up the second one, I think. I really enjoyed this. It's been so long since I've read just like a good old-fashioned fairy tale retelling fantasy. I mean like years. And if you are like a fairy girly, this is the one for you. I will say that the ending really took me by surprise, like kind of in a way that I'm not sure that I loved, but I think it's just because I thought this was gonna be like a one and done kind of book. So I thought the ending was gonna go a certain way and it went like the opposite of what I thought was gonna happen. I think that's all I'm going to do in terms of reading for tonight. And this is officially like the end of what I wanted to get read when I originally started filming this. So I think that I'm gonna take that as like a job well done. And I will check in with you tomorrow just with like some final thoughts of this week as a whole. Okay, I have edited, oh my God. I have edited everything in this video up until this point that you're watching right now. And I thought that it would be helpful if we just went through quickly a couple of things to kind of round out and wrap up what this typical reading week in my life was. Numbers wise, I was able to finish 3 different books this week. Let's keep in mind that I did not start and finish all of those books this week. I was a little over halfway through the first 2, and then I read pretty much the entirety of Malice at the end of the week. I'm not someone that tracks my reading closely enough to know what's a typical amount for me to read in a week. However, upon reflection and upon editing this, I would call this a really good week of reading for me. I'm definitely someone that can't help outside factors impact my reading. So sometimes outside factors like mental health will cause me to want to read less, and sometimes mental health things will actually cause me to want to read more. Whatever it is, I never hold myself back from reading or push myself to read. Just I read what I read and that's it. There are some things though that I recognize from this video that I think aid me in being able to read consistently. Thing 1, having books available in multiple formats really takes limits away from the times and places that I can read. Having books in multiple formats allows me to do the things that I already need to do in a typical week, like going to the grocery store or walking home from school, and allows me to like multitask and do 2 things at once, one of them being reading. The second thing is reading multiple books at once. Now I do want to say that I do not think that I would be able to start 2 books at the same time and then read them consistently at the same time as one another. Pretty much always the first 20 to 30% of the book are the hardest for me to grasp and comprehend. Once I am that amount into a book and I'm familiar with the characters and the setting and the plot, that's when I can typically pick up another book, because now that I'm familiar enough with that first one, my brain has the capacity to do that again with another book. And then the third and final thing, which I think is the one that helps me out the most, is reading small amounts consistently. Weekdays during this vlog, I never read more than a couple of chapters each day. And while my preference, and I think most people's preference, is to have long, uninterrupted amounts of time to read, that's not what my schedule allows for. However, reading a couple of chapters every single day consistently got me to a point in books where I was able to sit down for long interrupted amounts of time, and my motivation was almost higher to finish the books because I knew that I didn't have that much time. With all that, I just have to say, I had a really fun time filming this, and I had even more fun possibly editing it and just learning what it is that influences my reading in a typical week. I'd love to know if you have similar strategies in your day-to-day life where you fit reading in. Does your reading routine look typical to mine? Do you have any other things that you factor in? Any other times, places, formats that you read in? Simply love to know. And I would also love to let you know that I am so grateful that you watched this video, and I hope that wherever you are having a fantastic day, and I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.